Hello, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have a wonderful new story for you. This is a story about a young man named Leo. By the end of this story, we will learn an important lesson about hard work, clever ideas, and the power of love. While you listen, pay attention to the new words and natural phrases. This will help your English grow naturally. Let us begin. Leo lived in a busy trading town. He lived with his Aunt Clara, who owned a famous village bakery. Aunt Clara was a very hard worker. She woke up before the sun every morning to bake fresh bread and sweet cakes. Leo, on the other hand, was famous for something completely different. He was known as the laziest boy in town. Leo hated carrying heavy sacks of flour. He hated running out to the busy market. So, he always found a shortcut. Instead of carrying flour up the stairs, he built a smooth wooden slide. He just pushed the sacks from the street, and they slid right down into the storage room. Instead of mixing heavy dough with a large wooden spoon, he attached a wheel to a bucket. He simply turned a small handle, and the machine mixed the dough for him. Aunt Clara loved Leo very much, but she worried about him. "Leo," she would say gently, "you are very smart, but life is not always a smooth slide. Sometimes you must use your own hands and sweat. What will you do if I am not here to run the bakery?" Leo would just smile, kiss her cheek, and go back to sleep. One cold winter, something terrible happened. Aunt Clara became very sick. She had a high fever and could not leave her bed for weeks. Without her hard work, the bakery stopped making money. Leo tried to bake the bread, but he did not want to stand by the hot oven for hours. Soon, the bread burned, the customers stopped coming, and all their money was gone. One rainy morning, a man from the town council knocked loudly on their door. "You owe the town taxes," the man said strictly. "If you do not pay by the end of the month, the town will take the bakery." Leo sat alone in the dark kitchen. He looked at the cold oven. He felt a heavy, painful feeling in his chest. For the first time in his life, his clever tricks could not save him. He realized his laziness had put his dear aunt in danger. He whispered to himself, "I have to fix this. I cannot lose her bakery." The next day, Leo heard exciting news in the town square. The mayor was holding the annual Merchants' Challenge. It was a famous competition to find the most capable worker in the region. The winner would receive a heavy purse of 500 silver coins. It was exactly enough money to pay the taxes. Leo marched directly to the town hall and signed his name. The other workers in the town laughed loudly, They were big, strong men with huge muscles. "Look at this little Leo," they shouted. "He gets tired just from chewing his food. How can he win a test of strength?" Leo ignored their laughter. He knew he only had a few days to prepare, and he needed a plan. The day of the competition arrived. The whole town gathered in a large green valley. The mayor stood on a high stage. "The first task," the mayor shouted. "You must carry 50 heavy watermelons from the valley to the top of that steep hill. The first 3 people to finish will move to the final round. Go." The strong men grabbed huge wooden baskets. They loaded 10 watermelons at a time and ran up the steep hill. They were sweating and breathing very hard. Leo looked at the watermelons. He looked at the steep hill. He did not pick up a basket. Instead, he walked over to a pile of old merchant carts. He found a long, strong fishing net and a large wooden wheel. He quickly ran up the hill, empty-handed, and tied one end of the net to a strong tree. He created a simple, smooth pulley system. While the strong men ran up and down the hill, getting slower and more tired with every step, Leo stayed comfortably at the bottom. He loaded the watermelons into the net and simply pulled the rope. The wheel lifted the heavy fruit easily to the top. By the time the strong men finished their third trip, Leo had moved 50 watermelons. He finished second and moved to the final round. The crowd was shocked. The strong men were angry. The next morning was the final task. The mayor pointed to a massive pile of mixed grains and small stones. It was as tall as a man. "Your final task," said the mayor, "is to separate the good grain from the useless stones. The first one to fill 3 clean sacks with pure grain wins the silver." The other 2 finalists fell to their knees immediately. They started picking the stones out with their fingers. It was slow, painful work. Their fingers began to hurt. Leo stood still. He thought carefully. "I cannot pick these by hand. It will take days," he thought. He looked around the square. He saw the village fountain flowing with clean water. He ran to his bakery and grabbed a large wire mesh screen used for cooling hot bread. He carried the mesh to the fountain. He scooped up large buckets of the mixed grain and stones. He poured them over the mesh while pouring water on top. The water washed the small dirt away. The heavy stones stayed on top of the mesh, and the small, pure grains fell straight through the tiny holes into his clean sacks below. It was a beautiful, simple process. Within 1 hour, Leo had 3 perfectly full sacks of pure grain. The other men had only filled half of 1 sack. The mayor blew his golden horn. "We have a winner," he announced loudly. The crowd cheered. Even the strong men clapped, completely amazed by Leo's intelligence. Leo took the heavy purse of silver. He ran straight home and paid the tax collector. When Aunt Clara finally felt better, she walked into the bakery. She saw Leo covered in white flour, sweating and smiling. He was baking fresh bread with his own hands. "You saved our home," she said, with happy tears in her eyes. "You finally learned to work hard." Leo hugged her gently. "No, Aunt Clara," he smiled. "I am still lazy, but I learned that sometimes you must use your hands as well as your head. And most importantly, you need a good reason to try." This story teaches us a wonderful lesson. Being smart and finding easy ways to do things is a great skill. But intelligence alone is not enough. To truly succeed, we need a strong reason to push ourselves. For Leo, it was the deep love for his aunt. When you have a powerful reason, you can achieve anything. Thank you for joining us today. Keep practicing your English. Believe in yourself. And we will see you in the next story.